Bijan, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to be finally speaking with you after seeing you on Skool for a very, very long time. I want to get into talking a lot about copywriting on the call because obviously that is a big area of where you're specializing. And I want to talk about it in a way that helps beginners because I think a lot of people who are coming to Skool, maybe they don't even know what the term copywriting means, right? So before we get into anything else, can you just talk a bit about what exactly is copywriting?
Yeah, well, the thing is that I just made a YouTube video about this, like copywriting basics in 2025. But copywriting is everywhere. It's on every product that we, consume daily. Um, but it's not as simple as like, just writing like some words and then expecting people to buy. You got to create like this whole ethos and like this whole like design and everything, but just using words. So having that restriction of just using your writing to sell something
Hmm.
actually helps you do it a lot better. Um, so I would definitely encourage people to focus on that and to consume as much as they can um, in terms of like product descriptions and everything. Like really understand the meaning of a hook because
Hmm.
it's everywhere. Like if you go to Amazon, if you go to your favorite brands like Nike's website, like you look at product descriptions, that's all copywriting. If you look at like the side of a protein bottle, like protein shake bottle, like right here, advanced nutrition, right?
Hmm.
Advanced nutrition, it says. That's copywriting. Like it doesn't mean anything to say advanced nutrition, but it does at the same time. It has a meaning. So when you put that together with like how we do things on Skool, you start to be like, okay, how do I write an about page that actually hooks people in and doesn't sound cheesy at the same time? And the so the core principle of all of copywriting is you have to understand what the market wants.
And how do you do that without having copywriting skills?
You gotta just look at all the questions people are asking. Like you gotta kind of become obsessed and consume a lot of questions that people have about products, and go to YouTube and go to Reddit, go to Quora, and look at the problems people are speaking about when it comes to pain. Like when it comes to the pain that they're having. You know, if there's like thousands of different products at REI for hiking, right? Why? Well, because someone listened and said, okay, they people in the market want a specific hiking shoe that does this and not just this. It's not just about style, it's about functionality.
Mm.
So they have to learn deeply what the market is asking for.
Do you think that they should, so people who are new to Skool and are trying to build a Skool community, should they really focus in on their niche and like reading copy around their niche, or do you think it's better that they start more broadly?
Uh, I think it's really good if you're brand new on Skool to focus on the problems that people are talking about in the niche. Like just search them out everywhere. Like use vidIQ and flip the comments so it's like questions first.
Mm.
Go deep down YouTube rabbit holes. Like look up every possible way to talk about the problems, because then you start getting an intimate knowledge of like the specific problems people are having. And an example I'll give about this is, Hormozy did gyms, right?
Mm.
And a lot of people, we just think, okay, gym is like a, 24-hour fitness or Planet Fitness. No, he specialized in micro gyms. And when you specialize like that, you understand more intimately the types of problems they have that the regular gyms don't have. Because like Hormozy couldn't really solve problems that like corporate gyms have.
Mm.
But he did know that there was a huge market of people who have micro gyms that they run out of their garage, out of their home, and he understood the problems they had, which really comes down to lead generation and closing sales. So,
Mm.
as a beginner on Skool, if you come to Skool right now and you have a fresh, you're starting a fresh group, you have to focus. And this is something that I didn't realize for a long time. The about page is super important. The graphics on the about page and the writing on the description. You got to focus on those two things.
And how do you get the reps in for copywriting? If you're just making a Skool community, for example, and you're not like a professional copywriter, you may not, maybe you don't get as much opportunity to like write copy and test it out and get feedback. Like, how would you recommend they get started?
Don't judge yourself for sounding stupid, basically. Like just write some terrible stuff on your about page and then come back to it tomorrow. Just realize no one's reading it. But then when they do start reading it, that's after you have enough reps in. So try it out a bunch of different ways. Also, don't get married to things that you think sound good. Like usually it doesn't, and you're safe to just throw it away and try something completely fresh. Because at the end of the day, or in 5 months from now, when you combine those two things that you tested, you'll have something that's really good.
Okay. Well, what would you say then about uh, evaluating your own copy then? Like if you're pulling things together and you are, I don't know, people with new communities, they might not be getting a lot of traffic necessarily to their about pages. So like, how can they have a critical eye? Like, which should they share it with friends? Like, how do you evaluate it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I would always pair it with basing it off of the questions that you find in the niche about the pain. Like, does this say, hey, I understand your pain and I can help you solve that pain?
Okay.
So you got to just read it yourself. Like, as a beginner, I found it helpful to, like, I'm the one, rereading it and reading it again. But if I ask people, hey, how does this sound? They don't really understand the context. So that's what I would
Okay.
recommend. Just like become obsessed with reading it. But I also would recommend subscribing to every email newsletter you can find.
Okay.
Like that's what I did, and that helped me a lot.
Email newsletters, I guess, presumably they have some of the better copy. Is that why?
Um, the email newsletters are just really good to see a large volume of writing.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. And do you have like any kind of processes that you would suggest people go through in terms of writing their about pages? Like, would you suggest they use templates or I don't know, how do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, I'll just say this, like as a beginner, when I first started on School, I saw value stacks and I was like, I hate these. I don't
Hmm.
like looking at these. I don't like reading these, but I was completely wrong. Those value stacks are very important. You
Hmm.
need those, like with the check marks or the X marks, like and the bonuses and stuff. Very, very important. So let's just say that everyone needs those. Now the variable you can change is what you say for each one of those lines.
Hmm.
And what most people do will just throw on something that's they generated from ChatGPT, and it will sound kind of awkward and not really that good. But if you actually spend time thinking about what is valuable, like what is a good bonus, what is a good value stack to add, and like spend hours on each one, not like just sitting there writing about it, but like as you walk around, be like, what is it that I actually offer? What is it that I can offer through a school group, through this online medium? You know, like spend time thinking about each one. That's what helped me a lot.
When you were like first getting started in copywriting, was it through your experience on School or were you doing like into the copywriting field before that?
Well, back in 2018, I got hired to write blogs for a nutrition snack bar startup thing,
Okay.
and um, I started writing the blogs, and then I also wrote like their story and their I kind of configured their homepage to be like, I just changed everything around. I helped them write their story. I helped them write their like the founder story and stuff like that. So that's where I kind of got into it. Was back then.
And do you like if somebody else is listening to this and they want to get more into it, do you think that the like with ChatGPT and Claude and all these other, AI programs out there, do you think it's still a good idea to pursue copywriting in
Yeah,
2025? Yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, the amount of time I spend working with ChatGPT to
Hmm.
like give it the context needed, it's just a helpful tool.
Hmm.
Just like Photoshop helps artists. Like people think art is over now because of ChatGPT and AI image generation, but that's not true at all. Um, you can get it to create one thing, but then if you want to change that thing, it's kind of hard to do.
Hmm.
So uh, with ChatGPT and writing and using AI tools for writing, I think it's even better now than it's ever been.
Can you give me some examples maybe of like how you would use ChatGPT or Claude in terms of your own process, like your own writing process?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you kind of want to use it as like something to store all the context and then quickly access that context too. For me, it just really helps, maybe because my brain is wired a certain way. But what I end up doing is just like giving it tons of contextual information just by speaking into it, not using the voice feature, like the, talk back and forth with it,
Mhm.
but using the audio transcription feature. I'll just throw at like, as I'm walking around, I'll just, keep adding context and like things that I'm thinking about.
Hmm.
And so within that chat, it can go and reference stuff that you talked about like hours, days, years ago.
Okay.
If you keep it within that one chat. So what I would then do is be like, okay, and I want it to kind of, sound like this writer or use these kind of copywriting techniques. And then you can kind of tweak it from there. So it gives you a good starting point. It's not like it's the thing is that I still spend hours using it. And
Hmm.
like every business owner isn't going to be able to spend those hours refining the copy.
Right.
So it's still very viable of a business, I think, to get in, even with these tools.
Right. Okay. So I guess it's just like the quality, even though ChatGPT could spit out some copy for your about page like super quickly, the bar, I guess the bar is a lot higher now. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like it makes everyone better. It brings everyone up to make them better. But just because we are all at this level and we all have access to this tool basically for free, you know, a lot of AI tools are free. Grok is completely free. Because like and it's one of the better ones as well. Not that I use that. I more so use ChatGPT. Um, but it brings everyone up to this level. But now the difference is like who continues to use it and go above and beyond.
Right.
And to do that, you use it to help you gain an intimate knowledge of this subject matter.
Hmm. I guess if you're selling like high ticket coaching or something like that, the difference between a few words on your about page could potentially lead to thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like emails, like I got this email this morning from someone who, he's helped a few hundred people gain $100,000 a month with
Mm.
coaching or programming or whatever. His email, the way it was written, like it's just completely above and beyond anything that, lower level copywriters are able to
Mm.
do and way above and beyond what ChatGPT is able to do.
Hmm.
So ChatGPT just helps you have more time to study these emails and practice writing these
Right.
emails.
What do you think about just like copying that email exactly and just using, does that work or?
Copying is great. You should definitely copy things exactly as much as you can, but um, that's that's where you got to spend time and like work extra to like comb through it and make sure you didn't leave things out or like add extra things that you shouldn't have added.
Hmm.
So that's where the skill of proofreading comes in.
Okay. I want to like shift a bit maybe and talk about Skool a little bit more generally. Maybe getting into the offer side of things a bit. Like, what do you think stands out in terms of making a good offer on Skool? In terms of, I know that you have this amazing giant community now of like 700 plus members. How are you thinking about the offer in terms of that community that you already have and converting that into a paid offer?
Well, um, I struggled a bit with that because I was like, okay, I need to have another group, which is another $99 a month. And then I was like, no, Formosi says do the nightclub model where you let people in for free and then you can convert it to paid.
Hmm.
So that is like my strategy right there is two parts. I'm going to attract new members, but I'm also going to say, hey, for the people who are in here already, um, you can stay in for free because you're already here. But if you want to leave and come back at the new price, $99 a month, um, I'd be, you'd get access to all the things that I'm spending time working on developing. But you can totally stay in for free. But my goal, the job is to make it so valuable that 730 people will want to leave and come back, at the $99 a month price point. And to do that, you gotta just like you got to understand how to use the classroom, how to use the pages, how to write things that are really valuable.
Hmm.
Um, it's a lot of the boring work that goes into it.
Hmm. What is your favorite part about the boring work, or your favorite part about working on Skool?
Um, well, Skool, you know, the like actually the boring work I didn't like before, and that's why I avoided it for so long.
Hmm.
But now I'm like, okay, Hormozy's right. You got, Nicholas Cole, Dickie Bush, they're all right. You got to focus on the boring work. You got to like really sit down and do the boring work. And I've learned to like it. So
Hmm.
I've learned to, get the earplugs and just drown out all the noise and just sit and focus and work.
Hmm. What kind of stuff do you feel like is that drudgery that takes up, that majority of the time? Like what kind of tasks are you facing that maybe other people should start paying more attention to?
Well, basically anything that you feel like you can just rush through it, because school is deceptively simple. We
Hmm.
have this platform where we can just, you know, start a school group, add members, so on and so forth.
Right.
But if you look at the ones that really were successful and won with a lot of MRR, um, that like, most of us in the US haven't even joined these groups because they're like not for us at all.
Hmm.
Like the ones in Taiwan, the ones in like Spanish speaking countries, like these groups, I haven't seen the inside of these groups, but I know, I just have a feeling that they spent a lot of time working through the beginning, the onboarding part of the classroom, the start here. Like they spent a lot of time structuring the information.
Hmm.
And one of the ways that I've kind of started to do that is I looked at like old copywriting textbooks and I'm like, how did they structure the information? And a lot of what you do online is just make video formats of what is already on, old school textbooks.
Hmm. That's interesting. So you really think that the onboarding is a is one of the biggest factors? We're talking in terms of like retention here, in terms of like keeping the MRR, or
I'm talking in terms of like, you know, making sure people don't regret their, like, have
um,
buyer's remorse on their purchase.
hmm. How do you think about like making a really good offer? I guess the onboarding, that's part of it to make them feel like welcome or make them feel like they made a good decision. But in terms of like delivery and stuff, do you have any thoughts about what makes a good offer there?
Yeah. Well, it's not really just about making them feel welcome. It's about like spending a ton of time, like the things that you think are obvious, you have to put into the start here classroom. Be
Hmm.
like, really think it through. Like, what do you have to remind them what they want at the end of the goal and remind them that like they're on the way to like achieving that goal.
Hmm.
Um, and lay that out really well in the start here. Even if like if you're using video, if you're using just text, either way, you just gotta like really have to have an intimate knowledge of the process, and you have to show them that.
Hmm.
Because it's no one really wants to click on the start here classroom
Yeah.
course, right? So when they when they do, you have to make sure that they actually want to read it and they're not just going to click off of it and bounce off.
Hmm. Can you give some examples of like within copywriting secrets, for example, like what kind of stuff are you helping people through that would be valuable for them in terms of their copywriting journey?
Well, right now I'm working on um, bringing in templates and things that really like I know a lot of people at the beginning of their journey would need to feel confident
Hmm.
that they are able to do this. Because a lot of it is like feeling confident. And so it's like the templates to post on cold platforms, like organic platforms, and then like the scripts to kind of use for the sales calls. So you actually can start feeling confident in the sales call and converting people.
Hmm.
Basically, just giving people like the training wheels and the confidence to go through those early steps.
Hmm. Would you say then that you're applying copywriting? It sounds like you have a pretty broad perspective on copywriting. Like I imagine that even in like in YouTube videos and scripting and in you just mentioned like sales calls and stuff like that. Like all of this you see through the copywriting lens, I guess?
No, all of this is like copywriting as a business.
Okay.
Um, but the like deeper and more specific stuff is like emails. Like how do you write a good email? What is an email? How do you write a good email sequence? How do you
Mm,
like structure the whole email sequence so that way it can be used in a campaign that you can then want to get a percentage of the sales with.
mm,
So that's like the high level stuff, but to like actually get to do that stuff, you have to focus on your warm network, your cold network, like cold outreach, following up with people, showing up for people. Um, and I know a lot of people have to do that stuff first before they can get to the next level.
right. In terms of like, maybe this kind of moves a bit towards the idea of generating traffic. Like, do you have any thoughts around that in terms of copywriting? Like, how do you advise people? How would you advise people to go around looking for traffic and maybe making use of copywriting for that?
Yeah, I would say use your YouTube community posts just the same way you would use LinkedIn posts and use Twitter. And really understand that at the beginning, it's going to feel like you're not reaching anyone.
Hmm.
But if you stay, if you keep showing up again and again, you start to find the real people who are looking to solve the real problems that they have.
Hmm.
Like people don't just show up on Twitter and make an account and like try to talk about business because they are doing it for fun. They also want to have a
Right.
successful business.
Right.
Like they're also chasing 10,000 followers,
Right.
10K a month from a business. And a lot of them also have a lot more money than some people, you know, on Skool might.
Mm. Let's talk a bit about Skool. What are some of maybe the features that have been happening lately that you've been the most interested in?
The affiliates is really cool. And Hormozy said this on the call right after it was launched, like the week after it was launched. He said that affiliates is one of those things that takes a while to start kind of ramping up. Like it's
Mm.
this really cool feature, but then to like start the flywheel, it's going to take a bit.
Mm.
So I'm excited for to see that start to happen, like
Mm.
start to catch on.
I've noticed that a bit too. I think that because there was so much hype around it, I think there was a lot of expectation that like as soon as it was turned on, people would be getting this crazy affiliate money from everywhere. So I think having that kind of more grounded long-term perspective of how this thing kind of takes some time to gain momentum uh, is really wise. Do you have any strategies, like specific ideas around affiliates that you feel like sharing?
Yeah, well, I think you still have to remind people of why it's valuable to become an affiliate with you.
Hmm.
Like, just because they can doesn't mean they're just going to.
Hmm.
Like, Skool has affiliates, and when I market Skool affiliates, I'm like, it's really cool. You can use all these features. Um, like, join now, right? But then think about how would someone say that about your group that you're trying to affiliate, like get them to affiliate with?
Hmm. So like thinking about, are you talking about maybe making templates for people or like helping, like, can you maybe talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, templates are really good. I haven't started making those, but really it's more like thinking about how they would want to talk about it. Like, do they even want to talk about the group that
Right.
they're in?
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like we,
I imagine there's some groups where you'd be more, pumped about talking about, it's almost like maybe a status thing, right? There's some communities that you might be in that feel like when you talk about them, it elevates you, and other ones where you talk about it and it's like, oh, I don't want people to know that I'm, like part of this community.
yes,
Hmm.
exactly, exactly. So that's something
Hmm.
I'm thinking about. Like, how do people associate it with it? And that's like one of Hormozy's things too. He said something about a cow. Like if you go to a pasture and you see all these different cattle, like you see one with no brand versus with a brand versus with a brand that you hate, like
Hmm.
how are you going to treat that cattle differently, accordingly? Like, are you going to bring it back to the farmer if you see that it's lost?
Right.
So yeah,
I guess part of that's probably also keeping your community top of mind for people, like even if they're in your community, I don't know, like maybe giving examples of talking about your community would be helpful so that it's like a reminder of like how it could come up naturally in a conversation.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. And that brought up another good point too. Like synthesizers is great. Everyone wants to talk about synthesizers. They want to be in it. They want to post in it all the time. Why is that? And one of the reasons I like to think about is Kirby said, when you want to make a community, you have to have them aligned towards the same goal
Hmm.
and a greater goal that, like a greater purpose that is going to solve a problem that the Earth faces, like a
Hmm.
greater challenge that the whole globe faces. If you get them all aligned on that, then it will be easy to keep them going. And I'm still looking for what that is for copywriting secrets because, like, it's not just about money, it's not just about like being able to write from anywhere.
Hmm.
There's a deeper meaning, and I'm still like thinking what that could be.
That's really interesting to me. So it's like you're talking about some type of identity around the group that's connected with a larger purpose beyond making money or whatever the specific thing is.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the synthesizer things is like it's not educate the earth, but it's something like that.
Right.
But
It's funny how, again, I had this conversation with Matt Burns a little while ago about status. Our whole podcast episode, maybe I'll link it. Our whole podcast episode was about status. And it's interesting, I think, how connected those kinds of things can be. It's like sh- the greater purpose, like, yeah, we want to have a greater purpose, but also like, I get status from, making this a movement towards a bigger purpose. It makes it sound a lot better than whatever I'm trying to make a few dollars on the internet. Um, so yeah, that's something to think about how we create the dialogue around our communities and the meaning around our communities.
yep, yep, absolutely. And when you look at brands traditionally, they also lean into this.
So no ideas about copywriting secrets about what that kind of bigger vision might be.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like thinking about, what is it that people want? What do they want to look like? Where do they want to live? How do they want to dress? And like, what's the lifestyle they want to lead?
Hmm.
So I'm thinking about those things for sure.
I know this school tried to help 1 billion people find communities. That's a much loftier, larger goal than trying to help people make, $19 a month on the internet or whatever they're charging for their community.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
That's a really good distinction to make, actually. Yeah, it's not just making money on school on the internet. It's helping people find community through the community that you start.
Are there any communities that you're a part of right now that you feel are kind of other important tools for you in your process? I'm thinking about
I'm
like copywriting is like a really important aspect of building a business online, for example. But I know there's other, types of skills that we might need if we're on school. Are you part of any other communities that have been helping you in that way?
Well, I am always gonna rely or refer back to Synthesizer and Make Once, which Make Once community is closed now. He started a new one. It's not really closed. I'm still in it. It's still active, but he's not accepting new members, I don't think. Um, but what he talks about is basically the same thing that Sam talks about as a whole. Like at the end of the day, we have to attract, convert, and deliver.
Yeah.
And we have to get really good at those three things and finding the boring work of those three things. And that comes down to making YouTube content. Even if it sucks, like just start improving it now. Start posting videos now.
Hmm.
Mr. Beast spent 8 years before he got his first 1,000 subs, right?
Hmm.
Now he's the biggest, one of the biggest, probably the wealthiest YouTuber. Um, so like, and his old stuff, he was just posting it. It sucked. Like he just kept doing it and doing it. So really like my only advice is just get good at doing the boring stuff and posting the boring stuff and sharing your insights
Mm.
and definitely engaging on Skool. But in terms of specific groups, right now I've been so focused on like copywriting secrets and like my own stuff,
Hmm.
like synthesizing my own knowledge,
Yeah.
that I haven't really spent time in a bunch of other groups.
Cool. Yeah, I feel that. I was spending a lot of time, I think, in different school communities when I first joined the platform, but then the more that I started to really focus in on what I was doing specifically, my zone of focus got more and more narrow, and I'm like, okay, now I can really only handle a couple of communities at a time. More than that feels a bit distracting for me. I know I'm maybe unique in that, or at least there's a whole other segment of people who obviously want lots of communities. We just saw that whole drama go down. Um, hmm,
Yeah. Yeah. And, I like being in a lot of different communities. There's like fun communities to be a part of. Um, but then there's like communities where it's like, okay, let's get the problem solved so that way we can have more fun and we can spend more time in the fun communities.
right. Okay. Well, if you were to create a fun community of your own, what kind of community would you make?
Oh, shoot. I had an idea on this. What was it? I can't remember. I mean, I love GIF. GIF is so good because it's fun. It's just all nonsense.
Hmm.
Like you basically post the opposite of what you would normally say. That's my strategy for GIF. Um, yeah, something like that, where it's just like, you just get to post nonsense and the stuff. Oh, another community I like. I think it's a secret community. I don't know if I can talk about it, but I think you're
I'll
in it.
flip it out.
Yeah, Devin,
Oh
Devin's
yeah,
community.
yeah,
Yeah, like posting fun stuff about like tech and the internet
yeah,
and like YouTube videos, YouTube rabbit holes, stuff like that.
yeah. I don't think his is a secret one. I think it's just maybe he doesn't promote it so much. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's a
It's
handy
just
one.
a good group of people. It's like super focused. Like when I make like funny vibe coding video games, like Costin in there, he'll like go and beat it right away. And I'm like, I just did this like half awake, like just type something into Claude. And then he's like, I speed ran the game.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, Bijan, it's been really amazing speaking with you today. I wish you all the success with copywriting secrets. If people want to get to know what you're doing with copywriting secrets or with your process, what is the best way for them to find you?
Just on school.com/at Bijan. So yeah, I know that's not the best way because you only have like 10 message requests that you can do each day,
Mm.
but my LinkedIn, my YouTube, all that stuff is linked on my profile. So that's the one place to go. And I'll bring back a free community soon. So